for Nationwide. Yes, he joins us now. Good morning, Ricardo.
Good morning, Cliff. Good morning to the listeners.
I gather you're somewhere off island on leave?
I am on leave. I am on the island, though.
Oh, well, you have work to do now. Tell our listeners the lead up to the gunfire last night. Yes? What did you hear? What was the reaction of the crowd?
Right. So the Member of Parliament, Donovan Williams, was addressing the crowd. And, as is usual, we had thrown to the stage. So we were watching the proceedings, making note of what was being said. And then I heard what sounded to me initially popping sounds. First, I think I heard two which were faint, and then probably two or three more that were louder. And then the crowd behind the stage started running, scattering in all different kinds of directions. And then it took me a minute to realize that those were gunshots. A police unit that was on location, the officers quickly jumped out of their vehicles, guns at the ready, and then they went. I suppose they were trying to get a sense of what was happening because there was a big crowd and the crowd was scattering. And then they jumped back into their vehicles and drove in the direction that the sounds came from. And then another police vehicle came on location. Of course, those who were watching the stream would have realized that the MP, I suppose, based on where they were in front of where it happened. So I gather from talking to people who were on the stage that they didn't immediately hear the sounds, but that the fact that people started to run onto the stage is what alerted them that there was gunfire. And he ducked down, and then, of course, those who were watching the scene, Lawrence Rowe, and I think Fabian Brown, who was chairing the proceedings, looking in the direction of the sounds, and then appealing for calm as people started to get agitated.
Mm-hmm. And where was the meeting? Where in Central Kingston was the meeting?
So it was at the intersection of Hitchin and Great George's Street. Hitchin, right. Uh-huh. So St. Matthew's Anglican Church was a key landmark. So we were in the parking lot of the church. And then the stage was facing, I suppose, what would be Great George's Street, and the Labour Rights were sort of crammed into it, sort of like a lane. Labour Rights were crammed into it. It was pretty densely packed. And then because it was so densely packed, you had a lot of people who had come on a little later, so they were behind the stage. So from where we were sitting, we were seeing the back of the stage, and then the crowd was in front of us.
Mm-hmm. And for how long was the incident lasted for before order was restored?
I'd say probably a minute and a half. I mean, after the initial scattering and the appeal for calm, there was a sense of defiance. People were saying, don't run, stand up. Now, mind you, I'm not used to hearing gunshots. So as you can imagine, I was a little bit taken aback. Mm-hmm. But people were saying, remain calm. And then the chair of the meeting quickly called the meeting back to order, and the MP tried to power through it. I mean, if you watch, you can see that he was clearly uncomfortable.
Yes.
As he continued. But the disruption wasn't very long.
Yes.
And I think that was also as a result of how quickly the police responded. They really, because they were parked just beside where we were sitting. Mm-hmm. And the moment the sound started, they alighted from the vehicle in a split second, weapons at the ready. And then once they scanned the situation because the crowd started running, they got back into the vehicle immediately and drove in the direction.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, no one was injured. And we're learning from Superintendent Williams this morning that it was an altercation between some men nearby, but it was politically related or motivated. That is...
Yeah, it wouldn't have been very far from where the stage was. As I said, I heard them very, very clearly. The sounds were very clear. And the crowd ran from where the sounds were and to the point that some people ended up onto the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you would have heard the sentiments expressed by members of the crowd last evening. What were those like, Ricardo?
Right. So one of the things that I quickly picked up when I got there was Labour were saying for them to be having the meeting at that location, they considered it to be a historic sort of thing and an indication of their dominance, I suppose, or emergence as a strong political force in Central Kingston. Because what I gathered from them is that they wouldn't normally in the past have been able to gather in that location, right? And they thought it was a sign of progress and the fact that their political organization was strong to be able to have a meeting there. But there was a defiance. After it died down and, they were milling around, talking among themselves, there was defiance that they won't be intimidated and they would continue to have their meetings. And they did. They did. I mean, the Deputy Leader, Desmond McKenzie, when he took to the stage, he really had a message of unity and peace, saying that he doesn't want any war and he's urging everybody to get home safely, not to be provoked, not to respond. The Member of Parliament said similar things, and of course you'd have heard the MP Darrell Vaz, who was in the news from West Portland. He's saying that they're not afraid of gunshots. So
yes,
there was defiance, and there was also a call for unity and calm.
Yeah. Well, on the stage itself, I gather the former PNP caretaker turned Labourite, Lawrence Rowe, stole the show. Yes?
He's quite a character.
Well, let me play for all our listeners, yes, the video and the audio of what Mr. Rowe said last night from a JLP political platform in Central Kingston.
And I was never afraid then, and it was never a secret. So nobody feel as if I was hiding anything. All of you in Central Kingston know that I supported Donovan then. And I told the PNP that I was supporting Donovan. They tried sending me to Eastern St. Thomas to help Fenton Ferguson. Then they sent me to West Rural, St. Andrew, in the Red Division. I had to mobilize my own money to finance my stay there. But I knew then deep down that I had to come home and vote for Donovan, and I didn't care about it. And when I walked to the polling station, and the PNP was just right there, I walked right past them, so I never treat them. I stepped right in, and when I marked that ballot, I kissed it and said, "This is it." Because I have never ever voted for a loser.
Jamaican, nobody for stone, nobody fight, we need a your labor right. No shaky vote because a woman will like, we need a your labor right. The river come down green, it's a pretty and bright.
So, I see a little man who I don't know where I'm born, came here and took some liberty with me. I talk about shenanigans and real man. Let me remind him I protected you politically and in business, saved you millions of dollars when some who are now in Central St. Mary bled your company, and all I received was a text message and a report for work and protect my investment. I protected you politically when I had to fork out over $500,000 to sponsor your nomination, and I had to wait for months, and up to now, I don't get my full reimbursement. How dare you? I have the email threads to prove it. The shenanigans that I did to protect you and the signatures that I had to sign allowed you to remain president of the PNP today. When the conference concluded, a resolution allowed the leader not to be challenged for 2 years was not passed. I moved a motion to reconvene conference, and you are now president today, and you cannot be challenged until after general election. Me do that. I wanted to release the poll findings since I was candidate for Central Kingston. Neither you, Damian Crawford, Lisa Anna, Peter Bunting, and all the brand names in the PMP never poll as high as me. Mark Golding, your time has expired. I told you on the 4th of January that you're wrong to trouble me, and I will give you a political backsliding. One and two less. Third-term labor rights.
Wow. Ricardo?
Yes.
What was it like in that moment? I saw from the platform and the reaction, the labor rights erupted in applause.
They did, and I don't know if you in the video you saw the part where he took out his birth certificate.
No, I didn't see that.
Yes, he began by taking out his birth certificate, displaying it to the crowd, and saying that he was clear that he was born at Jubilee. And that he's a son of the soil, specifically of Almontown, and that's one of the things I picked up as well, that he's very popular among both the comrades and the Labourites, because while he was a comrade, the Labourites were saying they know him, they've known him from he was a boy growing up there. He got quite a reception to the point where I think he was the only speaker who got, what would they call it, a bottle torch, when in the dance hall, when songs are being played and they use the torch. He got that kind of reception. The Labourites were very welcoming of him.
Wow. But he said a number of things there, Ricardo, that are eyebrow raising. Yes? As if to say, one, he did some things, he used the word shenanigans. Yes? To have Golding's leadership survive and signing signatures, plus, moving a motion to have conference reconvene so he could get the 2 years that he needed not to be challenged.
I think, quite apart from the use of the word shenanigans, I think it had come to light that he was a central force that I suppose you'd call them the Rise faction of the People's National Party had relied on. So I don't think that was necessarily new information. I think what was new is that he's saying he has taken offense to how they have gone about treating him since he decided I suppose I would say to publicly make known his support, because he also said that in 2020 he voted for the Labour Party.
That would have been against Imani Duncan Price.
Against Imani Duncan Price. He said that.
And it was known that he was opposed to Imani.
Right. But he also said that he was also opposed. His drift started from Ronald Thwaites, making it known that he had sought to challenge Ronald Thwaites in the constituency. So he was trying to say that this position of becoming a Labourite, as it were, was not new, because he was already starting to drift from the People's National Party from before the 2020 general election.
Yeah. Well, interesting. And we're going to have more of these. But Mr. Rowe seems as if he's not going away. Not going away at all.
And I suppose the Labourites will attempt to use him in the Almontown division for their organization.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Brooks. Go back to your leave. Yes?
All right, sir.
Good. Time for the break.